Hi, morning. To all participants, we will start our webinar shortly. Please stay calm while we wait for the others to be in.
Mute.
Assalamualaikum, good day and welcome everyone. We hope you are doing well with your life. So thank you so much for those who attended our previous webinar last 3 weeks. Your attendance and time is highly appreciated, and welcome again for today's session. A warm welcome for the people who joined us for the very first time. So this is our first session of our QGIS webinar series. I will introduce myself first. My name is Farida, a GIS training and marketing executive, and will be act as your host for today's session. So we also have Miss Nurul as a technical support. Before we start, a few notes. We would appreciate the cooperation from everyone to change their display name to their real name or first name. So for this, we hope it could be done so we could address to you properly if you have the question later. Just a very simple step, as you can see on the slide. You just go to the participants icon in Zoom, and then go to your current registered name. Next, you click on the 3 dots next to the mute button, and then select rename to change it, and it's already done. We also would appreciate if you put yourself on the mute mode during the presentation. So our topic today, spatial query and analysis, will be presented by our main speaker, Mr. Elias Moprawi. Just a quick introduction about Mr. Elias. Mr. Elias is a geospatial consultant at GIS Innovations Penang Berhad. He has 27 years experience in GIS consultancy with extensive experience in data manipulation, quality control, data analysis, data integration, ETL, desktop GIS, and GIS customization. He has worked across multiple industries in GIS implementation, and he is certified in various GIS and ETL tools. So to those who are not familiar with ETL acronym, it stands for extract, transform, and load, which are techniques used for high-end data conversion, data migration, and also data integration. So for today's webinar, as usual, we will divide it into 2 sessions. The first 45 minutes is for our speaker to share on his topic. And after that, we will conduct Q&A for the remaining 15 minutes. So if you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the chat window. We will address them during the Q&A. And both Bahasa or English are welcome. So you can use Bahasa too. So we hope you will enjoy the session with us today. Now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to our speaker. Let us all welcome Mr. Elias Mokrawi. Over to you, Mr. Elias.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Farida, for the brief introduction. Always short and nice and on time. Thank you so much. Okay, today is a different session somehow from what we have done previously, because we are going to reiterate a few things about, just a moment, about QGIS. All right, so you all know QGIS, right? We are going to talk about doing some spatial analysis. For those who have been with us, we have been talking about coordinate systems and CRS. We are going to continue talking about that because this is something very important when you do your analysis. I'm going to tell you why later. I am so excited to have you with us, as usual. These techniques, well, I'm showing you how to use them in QGIS, but most of the other technologies will use the same techniques, the same names, with the same result, more or less the same results. All right. So before we start, we get into all the slides. What's on the menu today? So that is our tagline for the for the webinars. We have an introduction, so this is the introduction. And what is spatial query analysis? We are going to talk about GIS. What is GIS? Because we have to go back to the roots, explain again what is GIS. We are going to talk about the GIS in history, and we are going to talk about who is the first person, or who are the first people who used the word GIS, Geographic Information Systems. Was it new or not? Yeah, so going back to number 5, what is a CRS, coordinate reference numbers, system, sorry. Why do we use coordinate systems? Why is it so important that everybody talks about that? Then we are going to talk about spatial queries. We are not going to do all the spatial queries. There are a lot of spatial queries. Some of them are between, this can be geoprocessing. Geoprocessing is something different, is to process your data to get different other data. So we are going to talk about the buffering, and then we are going to say why we actually need to use coordinate systems, and then selecting by location. That is something we are going to look at. We're going to do some demos from our sample data, and at the end we are going to do a Q&A. So what is a spatial query or analysis? This is just an extract from from an article. The link is at the bottom of the slide. Farida, as usual, she's going to provide all these links, and they will be provided on the recording. So spatial query is a crucial GIS capability that distinguishes GIS from other graphic information systems. It refers to the search for spatial features based on their spatial relations with other features. All right, I'm not going to read the entire article. That's not the point of this webinar, but this is a definition that you will find in many other websites, in many other documents. So we will base on that. So what do they mean by that? Meaning that we have features on a map, features like points, lines, polygons that can represent anything, such as roads, rivers, lots, what else? Areas, can be any area, can be POIs as well, points of interest. Then we want to know what is the relationship and how to make a selection based on that. Right. So what is GIS? This slide has come before, and then we are going to use it again. GIS is to look for what, where. All right, so we are looking for attributes, some specific information, and then where is it exactly on the map? So we have seen what, we have done some, some queries on data. Now we are going to see where, but we are going to push it a bit further. All right, but before we get into that, let's go back a bit to the history. Who are what is the first map or GIS that was that is well known, that is known, sorry. So in this example, that was in 1832, when this was used for epidemiology, all right, for diseases. So 1832, one of the first instances in which spatial analysis was used. So it came from the field of epidemiology. This is in French, rapport sur la marche et les effets du choléra dans Paris et le département de la Seine, 1832. So that is, they did some spatial analysis on that was on cholera outbreak in 1832, so by the French geographer and cartographer Charles Piquet. So he created a map outline of 8 districts in Paris, and then he did that in halftones, and then he created some tables with all the details and some information. So it provides visual representation for the number reported deaths due to cholera per every 1,000 inhabitants in Paris, in a certain district in Paris, right? So this is the first spatial analysis known, but perhaps there is earlier than that. Another example, still in epidemiology, sorry, that was in 1855. So map of the Soho cholera outbreak showing the clusters of cholera cases in the London epidemic of 1854. So I put the reference, E.W. Gilbert or Gilbert, 1958. So that was the same, but you can see that there they would just put details on the map with the points and so on. So who is this gentleman, Roger Tomlinson? He is originally from the UK. So in 1968, when he published a scientific paper, A Geographic Information System for Regional Planning. So Tomlinson announced that as he is the father of GIS. He is credited with enabling the first computerized GIS to be created through his work on the Canada Geographic Information System in 1963. So that was done in Canada. That is the first GIS. GIS was born in Canada, basically. So he created the framework for a database that was capable of storing and analyzing huge amounts of data, leading to the Canadian government being able to implement its national land use management program. Tomlinson has he has written a few books. Some of them were published by Esri Press. I can't remember the titles. Maybe I will add some of the titles in the description after we record the webinar. Okay. So spatial query analysis. Before that, we were talking about GIS. GIS is to look for what, where, but in the spatial query, it's we look for what, where, based on another where, meaning that we have other data which are on our map, and then we already have our primary data, then we want to know the relationship between the two. We are going to see that in more details shortly. But before that, what is CRS? CRS is something that you will find, it's a coordinate systems. Usually, when you create data, by default, I mean in QGIS by default, you will have WGS84. It's good and bad. Well, it depends on what you are doing. So the map projection tried to portray the surface of Earth. So that's the definition. It's to try to portray the surface of Earth on a portion of the Earth on a flat piece of paper or computer screen, meaning that you have the real world and you are putting that real world into a piece of paper or on our computer systems. Okay, so coordinate reference system CRS then defines, with the help of coordinates, how the two-dimensional projected map in your GIS is related to real places on Earth. So the decision as to which map projection and coordinate systems to use, so all depends on where you are, of course, and what's the how you'll be using your data. Okay, so the entire reference to this document is available on the link. Let me go to the next slide. So in QGIS, you can you can just right click on any layer and then you can set the coordinate system. Like here we have set it to GTM2000, East Malaysia BRSO. We use that because we need to know exactly where we are, and also we need to know which measuring units we are using as well. So why coordinate systems? Why we always emphasize on coordinate systems? It's to know where are your spatial data located on Earth. Basically, this is the short definition. So why is layers CRS so important? In the next slide, or in this slide, what you see is you can see a few layers. They have been created in different coordinate systems. So you can see that this is a little bit skewed. These are in different places. This is smaller. This is some other places in a smaller place. So when you apply coordinate systems, when you know what are the coordinate systems for each layer, then you can turn this into this. So you are organizing your layers so they can be put exactly at the same location on your computer. So if if your data is being created in QGIS24 and others in RSO or GTM2000 or Cassini, then you will be able to put them all together at the right place. We call that reprojecting on the fly. We have seen that in the previous webinar. So this is the purpose of our webinar today. So we are going to talk about spatial queries or analysis. So we were supposed to, we are going to talk about buffering. What is buffering about? In this specific case, you can see that I have a road here. I have a road, and then we created a buffer of 50 meters. So meaning that this shows exactly 50 meters distance from the road, right? But there's something you need to know. We're going to see that later. Then selecting by location. To select by location, you need to choose from the menu vectors, and then you have research tools, and then you have select by location. We're going to look at all the, well, most of the options and see if we can do any analysis from there. All right, so this is the dialog box. You can see all kinds of options you can select, like intersect, touch, overlap, are within, cross, equals, disjoint, contains, etc. So you just have to select two different layers, and then you will have the information or the features selected. So let's take a tour. Go to QGIS. There is QGIS. All right. So what can we do from here? So I have the roads. I have my roads. If I right click on the roads, this is the segment of the road that I've digitized during our previous webinar. So I click on properties. Oops, the window opened there. Let me drag it back here. So we look at information. In the information, it tells me a few interesting things, such as where is the location of my data. This is a shapefile. I just click here, and sorry, it will open where is the location. Okay. And then information from provider. This is an SD shapefile. And then what I'm looking at is this important information, which is the name. And then the units are in geographic geographic lat and long for coordinates. So we don't have, the issue here is that we don't have a unit attached to this to this layer, meaning what we don't know what are the units, we don't have meters, we don't have anything like that. So what we do is we have only latitude and longitude. All right. So now that I have the information, I know what is this, what are the units. I just click on cancel. If I try to create a buffer now, let me just remove this. Okay, if I try to create a buffer, I go to vector, geoprocessing tools, and then I have buffer. Let me get the window here. You can see here, I have degrees. The distance is in degrees. So if I put, for example, I put 10, I leave it as it is, 10. And then I click on run. I'm going to create a temporary layer. As you can see that now this is huge. So I just right click and then zoom to layer. As you can see, this is not what we wanted because we want to have like 10 meters or 50 meters. Then I'll tell you why we want to do that actually. So what I will do is I'm going to right click on the buffered layer. This is a temporary layer. You can see here, this small icon here. This shows that it is a temporary layer, or they call it a scratch layer. So I will just right click and then remove the layer. Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to reproject this data. Just a moment. I'm going to remove this one as well. This one just for me to test. All right. I will just right click on this layer, export. Then I'm going to save features as. I'm going to keep as the shapefile, and then I have to choose the location of the new shapefile. I have this file. I just double click, and then I will click on OK. Ask me if I want to overwrite. Yes, I would like to overwrite that file. So I have already saved the file. I'm going to load my file. Just one moment. Okay, so that is a file. I will choose, what was the name of the road? Road reprojected. And then I have this, I click open, add, oops, I have done something. Let me just check it out. I'm going to delete the file and re-export because I think it's been used again, still being used. Yeah, it's still being used. So I'm going to remove it. Okay, let's do it again. So I have roads, right click, export, save features as, and then I'm going to call it this time. Yeah, let me just try to overwrite it. Okay. All right, so we have this green message just to tell me that it's all okay, and QGIS will automatically load the results here. Let's zoom to this line. Okay, so zoom to layers. There it is. I'm going to change the symbology. I'm going to use brown is fine, but I'm going to make it a little bit wider or thicker. Apply, sorry, a bit thicker. Then I click OK. So this is my road. And what I will do is I'm going to label that. Okay. Show labels. It's too small. I'm going to change the properties of the labels. I'm going to use a buffer. This is just for the text. I'm going to use a buffer size. I'm going to put 1.5. And the text, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm just going to put 12, apply, and see what's the result. So here's my new label. Okay, so we know where it is. Now, I have created my line in GDM 2000. Did I? No, that is WGS84. So let me do it one more time because that's to be in GDM 2000. So I'm going to remove the layer. Okay. Roads, export. Yeah, so I'm going to change this to, I'm going to overwrite it again. But here I'm going to use GDM 2000 East Malaysia, BRSO. Okay, overwrite the file. So, okay, it has been loaded again. Now, if I look at the properties, if I go to, let me just put back the labels. Okay, so information. So if I look here, now the coordinate systems are in BRSO and it is in meters. All right. So this is what we are looking for. Now we have changed it to meters. This is very important. If I look at the symbology, let me just get back the previous symbology, brown, and the width, I'm going to put 2.5, apply. Okay, that's good. And then the labels, I'm going to use a single label. Okay, then text, I'm going to use the size 12. Buffer, I'm going to use a buffer. I'm going to put 1.5. Okay, I'm going to apply, click OK. So I got back my text here. All right, let's get started. Now, if I try to create a buffer. So I'll go back to vector, geoprocessing tools, and then buffer. And this time I'm going to choose 50 meters. So 50 meters. So we are going to have a buffer all around the road. So I click on run. There you go. So now I have my buffer. I cannot see my road because the buffer is above the road. Now there it is. If I zoom to the buffer, zoom to layer. So there it is. Now I have a distance of 50 meters from the road. So why would we do that? Because I have other layers. I have a layer of the buildings here. All right, so the buildings, I'm going to put the buildings here. So you can see that this will show me all the buildings which are within 50 meters from the road. Okay. So what I can do now is I can take this a little bit further. Let me look at other processing tools. So let's see. I'm going to use the research tool, and I'm going to use the select by location. All right. So I have select features from. I'm going to select the features from the buildings KL, which is our layer here. And comparing with, I'm going to use the buffered. Okay. So we are going to look at, just gonna put touch, right? And give it a try, click on run. There you go. So now all the selected features here are the ones which are within 50 meters from the road. So they touch. But what we can do is, instead of doing touch is the moment the buffer touches the buildings, they will be selected, right? So what we'll do now is we will look for the buildings which are exactly inside the buffer. So to do that, I go back to vectors. Okay. Geometry tool, sorry, research tools, select by location. Okay, so I'm looking for, instead of intersect, is contained. Okay, so select features from. So we're going to use building scale, which are contained inside the buffer. Click on run. Oops. I will do it again. Building scale, which are within the buffer, are within the buffer. Sorry, let me try this one. Okay, so I just choose are within. So any building which is inside the buffer will be selected. So if I look at building KL, I'm just going to open the attribute table. There it is. And you can see that all the selected building have been highlighted. Okay. And here we have a button here to, hang on a second. So this is to put up the selected records, so it's easier to search and take a look. Okay. Now let's do something else. We have created some points here, which are, let me just unselect everything. Okay. Building KL. Select none. These are points representing some shops inside each building. All right. So of course, I mean, if you need to know how many shops are inside each building, you can count, or you can use some other ways to do that. So let's see what other tools we have. We have vectors, count points inside polygon, or points in polygon. So I'll just click on points in polygon. We are going to count that. So the polygon that we are going to use are these polygons, and the point layer will be shops. All right. So once I have that, I will click on run. And then I have a new layer called count. It's a temporary layer. Let's take a look at the table. So I click on open attribute table. There it is. So inside I have, it's the same as the one from building. Let me open that. And let's put them side by side just to compare, to see the difference. There you go. So you can notice that it's the same fields, except that we have a new field here that shows the number of points inside each polygon. So if we look at this one, for example, it shows that we have 3 points inside the polygon. So does this mean that we have 3 shops? Let's check it out. I'm going to select this record. And as you can see, I have exactly 3 shops in there. Let's take a look at the order. Let's see what's the biggest. Okay, this one has 5. There you go. So we have 5 shops inside this building. So this is just an example of the analysis that can be done. Of course, you can do a lot more. For example, if you want to do more analysis, actually, what you can do is you can, let me close this first. You can click on the toolbox. So this is all sorts of tools that you can use. Of course, some of them are for geoprocessing. Some of them are used for, other things such as, retrieving data from points and putting that in polygons. But we are going to do that perhaps in some other webinars. Well, definitely we are going to do a webinar on geoprocessing because it's something very important, something that everybody need to know, especially when you are using GIS technology. All right. If you look at the vectors menu here, we look at analysis tools. What you can do is you can have all sorts of other analysis, but I wanted to show this. You can also have basic statistics. This is not really spatial analysis, but you can just click here. You can just derive some. If I look at buffer, that would be. Hang on. Count, is count there? Yes, count. And then we look at number of points. So you can just run this and you should be able to create some statistics, okay? All right, but never mind, this is not a part of this specific, because we are going to talk about statistics next time. There are some plugins and so on for that, okay? Just try to open this. Yeah, okay, so it has been opened here in the statistics are here in HTML page. So you get all the results, basic statistics, but it's very useful. All right. Okay, let's take a look at other analysis tools. Distance matrix, I'm not going to do that, but okay, this is good also for people who are doing research. You can create a few things, but it's not much of analysis. Data management, this is for merging data. That is something related to tables. But overall, most of the analysis, when you want to do spatial analysis, you will be using some geoprocessing for sure. And then you combine that, you'll be combining that with the select by location. Let's take a look at the other tools that you have. So I've seen contains, intersect, touch, overlap. So if they are overlapping, cross is mainly for lines, if not mistaken. So you have a set of multiple tools that you can use for this spatial queries, right? Of course, there's a lot more that QGIS can do. This is just to scratch the surface, just to show you the importance of coordinate systems when you do some of the geoprocessing, because if you are doing your geoprocessing and you are using different coordinate systems, then you won't be able to get the analysis right, or you will get 0 results, which is not very convenient. Then you think that there's something wrong with the data. There's nothing wrong with the data. There's nothing wrong with QGIS. It's just a matter of getting all the layers together, right? So this is for what concerns spatial analysis. I'll go back to my slides. This is all that we have for today. We will be doing another webinar in 2 weeks. I hope that this information was useful, and I let Farida continue on this. So thank you so much. Farida, pass it to you.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you for sharing your professional knowledge and expertise, Mr. Lias. So great. We're still on track and within the time frame. We have another 15 to 20 minutes for Q&A session. But before that, for our side, from this short and limited sharing session, we hope you will find this information useful and benefited to your knowledge or any job related as additional skills. Doesn't matter if you are a GIS professional or expert, or maybe you're still new to the industry, or you are GIS students. So no worries, we are here together to gain knowledge together. So I will check our chat box. Let's see if we have any question for our participant. Just wait for a while.
I can ask you questions in English or in Bahasa
Yes.
Malaysia.
You are also welcome to, if you want to speak, yes, you can speak and unmute your mic and ask Mr. Lias directly. Okay, as I check, there is no question at the moment from the chat box. Anyone nak tanya apa-apa question to Mr. Lias? You are welcome to ask any question. Anyone? Okay, we have few questions from the chat box. Let I read the first question from Mr. Hazim. Okay, Mr. Hazim ada tanya, boleh saya tahu tentang extract data menggunakan attribute, Mr. Lias?
Okay, Encik Hazim, boleh saya tahu tentang extract data menggunakan attribute. Extract data, but how do you want to extract the data? This is, you mean to filter your data? Yes, okay, that is possible to do that. First, let me just go back to QGIS. So, all right, let's say you want to make a selection based on some specific criteria, right? Okay, so you can filter your data, okay? Well, you can base on specific expression if you want to, okay? If you want to do that, that is possible. Okay. Also, you can show all the features. Okay, feature, then advanced filter with expression. So you can do that. All right. So this is. Let me just try to do something for you. Hang on. Let me just zoom back to count this one and then zoom to layers. All right. I'm going to unselect everything. All right. So if we open the table, okay. I'm going to show all features. Then, table. So what we want to do is, for example, we are looking for, this is not a spatial analysis anymore. Okay, we are filtering from the table. So if we are looking for information inside this table, if we are looking for buildings that have more, that have 3 shops and more. Okay, so how do we do that? I go to advanced feature. So let's see. I'm going to look for fields or features, ID, geometry, fields and values. So I have number points. Number points, we know that it is the number of shops in our buildings. So, okay. And then let's look at mathematical, is there anything, operators, okay, which is greater or equal to 3. Let's give it a try. Oh, there you go. So now what we have is all these are all the buildings that have 3 or more shops. Okay. So if you want, what you can do is once you have this selection done, I'm going to right click, export, save feature, save selected features as selected, not all the features. And then I'm going to use shapefile. Okay, fine. Then I'm going to call it buildings with 3 shops. Example. Okay, that's not a very practical name, but yeah, just to explain. Click on save, click OK. So there you go. These are the buildings that have only 3 shops that have been saved. Okay. All right. So does it answer your question? All right. So next question is from Itzam, right?
It's from Mr. Izham.
Okay. Izham, you asked me to convert from RSO Kartao to GDM 2000 Johor. Let's check it out. Okay, first. Let's see. I'm going to zoom back first. So this is, let's say, JB, right? Let me create a new, I'm going to create a new, pardon me, this one, okay. A new layer. So the file name will be data, and I call it buildings JB. Okay. I just put your name. All right, buildings JB, geometry type. We have to set that. I just put polygons, click OK. Let me just randomly zoom somewhere. Okay. Okay, this is easy, good to do. I'm going to digitize two lots, just 2 lots. As you can see here, if I right click, I go to the properties. So the CRS is by default WGS84. Huh? Okay. So what we will do is let's create, I'm going to edit this layer. Then I'm going to do some digitizing. All right, so ID, I will just pull it. Yeah, I didn't add the field just now. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm going to create these 2. All right, and then ID 02. I have a missing field, as I said, but never mind. Let's continue. I've finished digitizing. I can save and stop, or I can just stop editing. Now, what we want to do is to export that to, you're asking for GTM 2000 Johor grid. So I'm going to export this or save. This is export, save features as. So file name will be, I'm going to check out this, and then I'm going to type here GTM. GTM 2000, so I have Peninsular, I have Johor grid, right? So I'm going to choose this one. So GTM 2000 Johor, file name will be building JB GTM 2000. I click on save, and then I click OK. So, all right, so you can see that these two actually, one is in GTM 2000, the other one is in WGS84. But because we are using the on-the-fly projection, so that's why they are back, they are overlaying. So if I right-click, go to Properties, if I look at Esri Shapefile, coordinate system is GDM 2000 Johor grid meters. Okay, so here, this one, they give you the EPSG reference as well. All right, does it answer your question, Azam? Okay, can we continue? I think Azam, oh, there it is. All right, welcome.
I open for anyone who would like
I
to
think
talk or
there's one more
asking.
question from Hazim, I think.
Yes, from the box. So the last question from Mr. Hazim. QGIS product have lots of version based on its country name. So for his question, which version QGIS is suitable for him to use as Malaysian?
Do you mean the language? Okay. Okay, because QGIS is the same. If you use the one, let's say I always use the one in English, I just use whenever there's a new version, there will be a notification. So just click on check for QGIS version. Then you just download the latest that you have, visit, okay, I click here. Let me just get my, all right. So then it will just take me to the site, and then I I download the latest version. So sometimes they will tell you that they have like testing versions and all. Usually when you use a software, don't use the beta version, unless if, of course, the beta version has something that you need and which is not in the final version. Otherwise, I would just use that. And I still prefer to use Windows, but if you look at Linux version, is very similar to the Windows version. I'm not really sure if that was the question, but to me, I would just download from here. I download the latest version, and that's it. Then I would uninstall the previous version or just keep it installed first and then uninstall the previous version. Okay. Okay, so this is the latest version. That's your question. Okay, but usually if it's just a minor version, let's say 3.9, 3.3, unless if there is really something big, then it's worth, you have to look at what's new first, and then you decide if you want to upgrade or not. Some companies, some other commercial software, I know that, for example, if they tell you 3.1, and then after that you have version 3.11, sometimes there are a lot of changes. So you have to look at what's new, and then you decide. Here they give you all the releases, for example. Well, this is the source if you want, but you have to decide later on which version is more suitable for you. Right? I hope this answers your question, Azim. Okay, any other questions?
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Les, we have another question from Mr. Gaza. So his question is, can we differentiate between one shop and three shops above in the same layer by differentiating the color, differentiate the color?
Oh, okay. So you are talking about symbology. Okay, let me click OK. Let's go back to our buildings. That is count. Sorry, let's go back to count. So right click, zoom to layer. So what you want to do is just to know the buildings with. I'm going to use this. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so you just want to have the buildings that have one shop or the buildings that have three shops, and you want to have those shown on your map. One way to do that, okay. So I would just look at the symbology. Just double click. Oh, I need to use count for that. Sorry. Okay, and select everything. So let's just double click. Look at the symbology. And instead of using single symbol, what I will do is I'm going to use, let's use a graduate or categorized. Okay, and then categorized based on which field I will use the number of points. And then we just click on classify. QGIS will get me the classification automatically. And let's see how this looks like. This is just a random classification. All right, so I'll just click on apply. There you go. But if I want just the buildings with 3 and 5, so what I can do is I just remove the rest of the symbology that I don't need. Okay, and then I click apply. So there you go. Now I have only the shops that have 3 or 5. Let me just remove this. It's confusing. Okay. There's like, this is, sorry. There you go. So these are the buildings that have 3 or 5 shops. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
You're muted. You're muted.
I think that's one already answered the question from Mr. Gaza. So maybe we check another question from other participants. So we have now from Kia Buntan. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. So the question is, may I know if the buffer analysis is suitable for water distribution network extension planning project?
Just to answer that, I need to know what is your project about, because when you say water distribution network, I've never used this. If that is an extension, I've never used that before, or plugin. Can you give more details about that? At the meantime, we answer the next question. Can you, Jiao, is it? Jiao Bun?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm Xiao Vun Tan.
Yeah, okay.
And actually you can call me Tana. And then
Okay.
my question here is because of I'm currently undergoing my final year project. under University of Technology Sarawak. So my project is about the water distribution network extension. And then it's actually, we know that in Sarawak here, our coverage is still like not fully covered yet, right? So I need to plan for the extension. So my question here is like, is the buffer analysis, because of we know that we can do buffering for when the pipeline comes to the end of the pipelines, right? So is it suitable for this project? I mean, yeah.
Well, one thing is that as they say, all the roads take you to Rome. So you have to look at, you can say that some specific tools are only for some specific work. It depends on what you want to do. Now, if you are using buffers, what do you want to use the buffers for? Is it to look at the houses, nearest house, is it?
Yeah, sort of, or nearest housing area, something like that.
Yeah, you can use that, definitely. So, for example, if it's planned, I'm sure that they have already planned the location of the new pipe. So you can use the new pipeline and then you create a buffer from there. Let's say, I'm not sure how far that can be. Maybe they're looking for houses which are maybe 100 meters away from each side. Yes, you can do that, definitely. But you have to look at also if it's really 100 meters, or if the distance is correct. Is it a direct distance, or are they going to use a different way to get there? So you have to look at all sorts of contingencies as well. You have to look at if it's easy to go on a straight line from the pipeline, but to know roughly in bird view which houses are the nearest from the pipeline or within a certain distance, yes, you can use the buffers for sure. If you have any questions, you can just email to us. I can guide you on that.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tan. Our next question is come from Mr. Azwan. So the question is it the QGIS platform can be used as web-based to present our data?
Well, this is a very wide, very broad question. I would say yes and no. It depends on what you want to do. If your data is very small, like this one, yes, you can do that. What you need to do is, let me just show you that very quickly. Web, if you have an extension called QGIS23, so you can create a web map, for example. Let me get the window here. You can use the data. Okay, I'm not prepared for this one, so I can just use leaflet because it's you can use that. I don't want Google Maps. I don't want this. Anyway, you just have to select your layers, and then you can export that as a map. You can use open layers. Okay, on open layers looks nicer. I can use leaflet. So what I can do is, if I look at the appearance, add search box, add layer list if you want to, geolocate user, layer search, that will be on yeah, anything you want to use. Okay, I'm not going to go any further on this. I need you to, if you don't mind, just to do some research on by yourself. And then once you have done that, you can just export, and you should be able to create a website very quickly. If you are looking for something a lot more detailed, or you want to create a bigger data website, then you should use something like GeoServer or QGIS server. Then you can serve your maps using different web services. Otherwise, to get this QGIS to web, what you do is you just go to plugins, manage and install plugins. Okay. And then you just type web. Sorry, you can type web or just QGIS to web. So this is the extension or the plugin. And you just install, and from there you just look at the user manual, and it's very easy to use actually. Just try and error. You'll be able to get there. Kazwan, does it answer your question? I hope. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Lias. As we can see on the chat box, we also have question from Ms. Aiza Arifin. So the question is, may I know the advantage using QGIS compared to ArcGIS?
Okay. All right. First, I have to say that I respect Esri for all the work that they've been doing. They have really given a push to the GIS industry. So the main advantage of using QGIS over ArcGIS is that QGIS is free, besides being good, right? So it's absolutely free. If you have 100 people who are using GIS, they want to do digitizing only, then you just use QGIS and you start digitizing. Whereas if you use ArcGIS, that will cost you a lot of money to do that. It has ways to check. You can clean your data as well using QGIS. You can do a lot of geoprocessing tasks. If we look here, if you look at the toolbox, okay, so anything that you need to know, anything that you want to do is you just have to type here. Let's say you want to build polygons, you just type build, and then you have all these processing tools that are available. This is build polylines. If I put area, you have all the tools that can be used, and it's all using dialog boxes. It's very easy to use. If I remove this, just to show you the amount of processing tools that are available. So all these are those which these are tools which are inside QGIS. Now, whenever you install QGIS, you have other processing tools which are available. You have GDAL. So you have all sorts of tools here as well. You have GRASS, mainly for remote sensing, but you have also vector processing. And then you have QGIS as well. Sorry, you have Saga, pardon me. Saga, which has a lot of processing tools by themselves. Okay. And I consider that QGIS is quite fast in processing the tools. I'm not sure about ArcGIS, how fast it is, but yeah, by my standards, I can process the tools very fast, process the data very fast. So I have no issues with that. Okay, you have even like terrain analysis, and all this is free. It's open source. There's no issues about, especially when you are a lecturer, and if you are using QGIS, your students can learn how to use QGIS, and after they graduate, they can definitely use other products such as ArcGIS or Mapinfo, because the concepts are exactly the same. It's as if you tell me I'm driving my Honda Accord I don't have Honda Accord, but my Honda Accord Auto, and then I changed car. I'm using a Camry Auto. It's the same thing. There's not much of a difference except your preference and also the price, the cost. This is my personal opinion. Other people may have other opinions. There are some people who are putting like charts on the difference between QGIS and ArcGIS. This can do this can do that. But the main thing is that I would say QGIS is powerful and QGIS is free. So if you need a lot of licenses, it doesn't matter. You can install as many as you want. All right. I hope, Isa, this answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Liz, for answering. So I think we come to the last question on the chat box. So the question is from Puan Siti Nurul Aini from IRDA, Malaysia. So the question is, since QGIS is open source software, in your personal opinion, how stable this software in handling big volume of data, for examples like polygon data?
All right. I have used QGIS to process a fairly big amount of data, and it was quite fast. Now, my perception of fast and your perception of fast may be different. So what you need to do is really benchmark your data. You have to use on the same machine. You check how long it took to process that in ArcGIS, and then you redo the same thing and check with QGIS, and you check to see how long it took QGIS to process the data. How big is the volume? From my opinion, anything below 100,000 records is not big. So when you get to millions of records, that is already something you can consider big. But going back to your question about how stable this software is well, it doesn't crash when I process data. So it is stable enough for me. It opens very fast. It has a lot of processing tools. So yeah, you really need to benchmark and give it a try. If you have any questions about something you want to do with QGIS that you have been using with other products and you need me to show you how to do it, there's no problems. We can do that as long as it's just a small tips that you need. No problems. We can assist you with that. You're welcome to contact Farida, and we'll help you with that. Thanks.
Okay, I think we already come to the end of the webinar session. So, well, that's all we have got you for here for today. So before we end it, I just would like to check or to double confirm with you if any question that you would like to ask. If no, I think it's time for our group Wi-Fi. So hope you don't mind to turn on your video for a while for group Wi-Fi.
I'm going to stop sharing. Did I stop sharing?
Okay. So firstly, I just would like to thanks to those who already asked the question and also to those who already share her or his thought.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. We are just sharing knowledge. For those who are wearing a mask, please be informed that you don't have to do that. Video cam is not contagious. All right. Okay, so thank you so much. And I'll let Farida continue on this, taking the pictures. But please open your cam for those who have a camera.
Yes.
For those who don't have a camera, yeah, it's okay.
Any student for today's session? Any student? Okay, thank you. Okay, Lynn. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, we did again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for joining us. And anything you can, Mr. Liz, can you share the last slide?
Oh, the
for
last slide. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. That's the
For
most
the link,
expensive.
for the email.
That's the most expensive slide. Hang on a second. Share screen.
So anything you can just drop an email to me, farida.hashim@gis.fm, or sales official email, sales @gis.fm.
Can you see? Oh, blue.
Cannot.
Sorry,
I cannot
sorry
see.
about
Yeah.
that. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that.
Okay, this here. Here we go. So anyone who would like to take a picture or snapshot, anything you can do right now. So for your info, we will put the recorded webinar on our official website too. So later on, you can check and rewatch all the webinars series. Anything else, Mr. Lias?
That will be all on my side. So thank you very much, and good luck in your GIS work. If you have any questions, please do send. Thank you, Farida and Lynn, for your continuous support, and I thank you all for your continuous support as well. And I hope that we can get more people attending our webinars in the future. So far, we have good numbers, and I hope that the numbers will get
time
bigger.
to time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care and see you soon.
Okay, yeah, as I said, we will put our recorded webinar on our official website. So maybe I will check later with technical person whether it can be downloaded or not. As of now, can, or yeah, as informed by Hazli, it can be downloaded. You can rewatch all the webinar series. Yes, please free to visit our official website. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.